Ministry says it has referred...
I'm into insurance.
Okay. Are you practicing?
Sure.
Nice. The Education Ministry says it has referred conditions of service concerns raised by the country's lecturers to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for consideration. The Education Minister, Professor Jengnano Pukwajmain, revealed this to Joy News on the sidelines of the launch of the University of Cape Coast Research Fund for Graduate Research into Sanitation, etc. The subject of the emolument or the wages for teachers and the other categories of teachers within the educational sector. Because when we say teacher, usually we talk basic and things like that. But when they go up, they say we should call them lecturers and things like that. Teacher is a teacher, though. But it's an issue that we need to address. I start with you, John.
Yeah, conditions. I mean,
it's been on. It's not a government issue. We just haven't been able to get a grasp.
As a country, there are issues that are very interesting. Let's say you go to the universities. Who pays the lecturers? Who pays those in the laboratories? Who pays all the categories of staff? Isn't that government? Does the university generate its own internal revenue? Yes, it does, including facility user fee. Just look at the fact that even in trying to get the facility user fee, utility payment, utility service payment was not factored. And if you look at the level of payment for utilities, water, electricity, and the like, in the universities, where all gadgets are used, and if you drill down to the secondary schools, where PTA dues are charged, nothing is said of utilities. It's only what is generated to better the school slot. And the government will continue to pay lecturers when it comes to teachers' motivation. And then, but these are big outlays on budget. Utilities alone, big outlays on budget. Now, when it comes to a strike action for conditions of service, it is government who should go in. It's not the authority. If you take normal corporate institutions, if they operate as such, it should have been university authorities to handle that particular issue. But because of its nature, quasi-governmental institution of a sort, there's an autonomy somehow, yet government pays some. It comes to a level where say the law will not allow government to go in. The university has to operate its own grounds. They are charging for the use of the road for the university authorities. How can't we lessen the burden on government, having provided all these facilities for you and paying lecturers? How can't we lessen the level of government burden on government through such same means, so that we can get other resources to handle other things? You have not done that. You've taken internal generation. It has not necessarily offset in terms of government expenditure. Yet, issues will keep coming about conditions of service. We should set on conditions of service, but we should be as realistic as possible in the conditions. It's a negotiation, and we should be realistic. The only trouble I get these days is where people use numbers to stampede government. GMA, if I want to go, numbers are there. And you cannot sit down for GMA to go because of obvious health considerations. You have to do that massaging. Lecturers, you can't allow them to go on strike. Teachers. So at times, we ask a simple question.
Well, that's why they have the numbers.
Exactly.
And that's why they have to be treated well.
Well, it depends on what is treatment. And it depends on whether they're also realistic in the way of their demand. So it's a negotiated way. We should respect the fact that when you are using your leverage to stampede government, you should look at the totality of a Ghanaian situation and factor yourself inside. So,
and what's the situation? We're in a period of austerity.
No, I'm saying that others go to negotiate. Private institutions negotiate. Government institutions should also negotiate. We should factor everything. We should not demand. At times on the government side, it's like, and even quantifying work is serious. It's like, let's go. There's a minimum wage. Let's start from there and keep going. What is the productivity measurement to reflect in the negotiations? So we should do a lot of performance measurement in terms of our real input onto the GDP, so to reflect on negotiations.
But at the end of the day, we're told consistently over time that as far as labor is concerned, dialogue is critical.
Sure.
But dialogue without proactiveness in being creative, in preempting whatever the difficulties or perceiving what could be coming at you is then a deficiency for which you have to suffer.
Sure.
Because if you know they have numbers and you don't preempt them, you don't adequately engage them in dialogue, etc., when they come at you, they feel they have all the justifications.
Sure. Yeah. Let me start from this. Minister Akono was saying that government. Yes, these people will always look at some of these as government, because of the way perhaps our constitution have fashioned things, that the president has so much power when a vice chancellor is going to be appointed, before you realize there's government hand in there.
Do we always need to be talking about this argument? Because it's not as if those entrenched amendments will come soon.
Well,
we have to live with it.
Wow, so it means that things which should not necessarily be government matters, these bodies will see government as the one who must.
So they should become what? They should be seen as state matters.
Absolutely.
Instead of being government, they should be seen as state
matters. And then the long hand of government be pulled out and allow these organizations to work. But unfortunately, because of the way our appointments go, people always would read meanings into this. Oh, the director of education, he had some connection with MPP or NDC. I mean, depending upon which government, he said, oh, we come to the education directors, and so it becomes a little bit dicey when you want the people to see this as state.
But what happened to patriotism? Whether it's an appointment by an elected person or not, what is realistic is realistic. What is real is real. For example, the crisis in Greece, they spent more than they had. Now they have to suffer for it.
Right.
So whether they like it or not, they'll have to suffer for it.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you can't eat your cake and have it.
Absolutely. But what I am saying is that if you have certain bodies that have powers to do certain things and go and negotiate, and they would be doing, like you say, they will be proactive and be looking at some of these things. But when they have to be looking over their shoulders, then they are careful as to what to say, what not to say, and so the thing will be dragging on when they know that, look, you as a fair wages and your business primarily is to engage people on a regular basis, and then the one who has the power says, hey, my friend, you want to slow down a little bit, you don't have to do it. So people keep looking over their shoulders and not doing what
Mr. Ako wanted to add, but we have on the line Mr. Jones Intiamwa. He is the chairman for the Accra Polytechnic chapter of the Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana. A very good morning to you, Mr. Lecturer Intiamwa. Now, what do you make of all the things that have been said as far as your suggestion, the suggestions that have been made by the Minister of Education, particularly in dealing with the issue of research allowances, your wages, and the concerns that you have in generality as teachers?
Good morning, Roland. Very happy to be with you this morning. Quite strangely, I was listening to one of the speakers, and some of the claims that he's making are very serious, in the sense that I overheard him saying that we are using our strength to bully government and so.
Well, is that not what all of us perceive that you do? It's not as if he is the one. I think generally, if you look at the criticism across board, is that because en masse, you tend to have a lot more membership. We're not particularly talking about teachers, but also the composition of public sector workers that are having the numbers, i.e. the doctors, the nurses, the etc. So it's not only pertaining to you as teacher groups.
I understand, but if he goes that tangent, then he's missing the mark. Because at the end of the day, we all know that we have an employer which is supposed to be doing what it's supposed to do. For example, if we are in negotiation and government keeps on dragging its feet, naturally, when you are dragged or pushed to the corner, you may end up using the legitimate means of getting home your demands. You see, so the point is that some of these comments that our ministers make are very unfortunate. They seem to compound the problems that we have. They are supposed to be seen to be compassionate towards our concerns, you see. Because, you see, it is only in Ghana that teachers, nurses are poor, politicians are rather rich. It's not the best. They are supposed to look after us. If you remember President Francois Hollande, when he came to power, he slashed the ministers' wages by 25% and so. What we have seen in our case here is that ministers have their salaries and allowance increased by a certain percentage, I've forgotten. And that of parliamentarians were all increased. Politicians are getting richer, and then teachers and the vulnerable are getting poorer. In fact, if you remember, nurses, teacher training allowance have all been scrapped. And now they are targeting teachers as well. It's very unfortunate. As I speak to you, polytechnic teachers have not received their salaries for June. And the minister is very happy talking, and even infuriating some of us. We have not been paid for June salaries. And at the same time, government has also promised to convert the polytechnics into technical universities. That the minister, Professor Dominic Phoebe, is raising concerns that might also not be met, considering the fact that, as we speak, the bill has not been submitted to Parliament for approval. So there are so many issues. We expect them that, despite the difficulties that the country might be having at the moment, we expect them to show some compassion, not to be saying all these things. You know.
All right.
It's
Okay,
too bad.
Mr. Ntiamwa, I pose a question to them, and I would also want to ask you same. Do you think that perhaps those authorities or agencies that are, or heads that are expected to be proactive in preempting some of these things that you have, that some of these concerns that you tend to have, are creative enough and very much proactive in dealing with them before you come to say, well, now we've come to a head, and so we're not going to be in agreement with whatever it is that you're postulating?
Thank you, Roland. We, POTAC and UTAC, are dealing with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. That is the body that the law has mandated to deal with our conditions of service. Sometimes, I don't know, but sometimes they are too slow in some of their dealings with us. Since 25th of August last year, that POTAC and UTAC, POTAC called off a strike, 4-month strike, after signing an MOU. They are still dragging their feet in negotiating the condition of service, and then the book and research allowance, which is a key issue that we are dealing with at the moment. They seem to be dragging their feet. We really don't understand what is happening. We expect the minister who is with you now to be asking these agencies to speed up the process, because as we speak, 2014-2015 book and research has not been paid, and we have given government up to July to sort that one out before our members start agitating again. We met the minister about 3 weeks ago, and she gave us the assurance that we should go home and then ensure that the right thing is done, whilst they also go ahead to do what they are supposed to do. All these things is what we are also complaining about.
All right. Okay, you hold your fire. I know that you are with us for the next 5 minutes, so you hold on. And Honorable Akon, I know that he was throwing the guns at you, but in the midst of the discussions, really, they seem to have a certain point by which they're arguing.
No, I like
beyond, because I am seeing his thing as twofold. I know that I may be very much wrong, and he may counter. But the point is, they look at the physical evidence, the way perhaps the attributions physically are, the postures and things of ministers, the perception, one, and then the real negotiated issues for which they feel forthwith government is not being proactive on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I like his posture.
Because they say, Minister, you're rich, very rich.
Well, very
I didn't know that, though.
Very interesting. I went to Polytechnic, so I know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, I like his composure, but he did not get my point very well. I'm talking about structures, because they have the numbers, and the least strike action gets to stampede government. And I'm saying that the authorities, and I said it right here, a committee of vice chancellors and the rectors should be in control so that we can soften those approaches and get the issue going, so that we limit the interactions. And I think I've not said anything, and you did say that that's why we think dialogue should always be the prime factor, and that's what I also normally support. And softening of stance is also very good. There's a responsibility of government, no doubt about it. And for me, I think one of the important stretches that happens to government is that the time of negotiation is also a factor. When possibly the budget would have been drawn. So I think that they should now start to put timetable on the negotiations. So that even if budgets are drawn, all those negotiated figures are absorbed. So that we didn't do those things. In some of the companies, and it happened to my company, when these things were becoming yearly affair, they decided to negotiate for 3 years. So that until something happens which is very substantial,
the numbers don't change.
The numbers don't change, and then you renegotiate after the 3rd year, so that you get a bit of stability.
So
front.
You think that should be the way we need to be going?
Yeah, I think so, but there should be perfect understanding, and then agreement should be clear.
Because it's all about dialogue as well.
Exactly.
But I still believe that if these bodies like the Fair Wage are not given the free hand to do their work, we also come.
Is that what you perceive?
Sure. That if they are not given their free.
Why do you come by those conclusions?
Because I come that conclusion, you realize that under normal circumstances, fair wages, they know what they should do and they know why they are there. Why would they be dragging their feet anyway?
No, you know, there will be a drag. In the context of fair wages don't have money of their own.
Absolutely.
All that they will negotiate is charged on the consolidated fund. And the consolidated depends on your income, on the flow into the accounts. So there will be a bit of talk there.
So if that's it.
Why is it that a year on, or almost a year on, all the things that we talked about last year in the media and across board, your book and research allowance has still not been paid to you as of now? Is it not baffling? Well, I find it very much baffling.
Exactly, that is very strange. We have been willing to meet fair wages all the time because it's not that POTAG and UTAG like to go on strike. Strike is the last resort. Nobody, because strike is emotionally daunting. So we are not interested in strike. But the people that, agencies that are supposed to work, are actually not seen to be working. That is why it is only when we are pushed, that's when we embark on strike. As we speak, fair wages, we met them on Thursday, and they don't seem to be forthright with us as to the way forward.
Why do you draw those conclusions? They don't seem to be forthright with you.
In the sense that the matter is clear. For 2014-2015, the academic year has ended. It is no fault of ours that we have not finished the negotiation. So they should tell government that for this period, pay them this book and research whilst negotiation continues. They are reluctant to do that. And we are very disappointed with the lack of progress.
Okay, they should pay you on which negotiated sums?
No, the book and research allowance is part of our condition of service.
I know, but I know, I know that by last year, we were being told by September of the previous year, they would have ceased paying that sum and be paying you, and there will be a bulk fund, or so to speak, by which whoever wants to access. I think that's the understanding we all got. So why do you see, because you haven't, let me also land, because you haven't finished negotiating, you feel that you have to continue getting book and research allowance being paid to you in addition to whatever you earn, whilst the ground rules have already been set. Is that not deceit of the public in many respects because you haven't finished negotiating?
Not at all, Roland. What is happening is that as a condition of service, until a new one comes into being, the old one still exists. Now, since 2000 and last year, August, when we had an MOU to discuss the way forward on the book and research, the MOU, the agreement has not been reached as we speak. So the status quo remains.
Okay.
Until such a period that we finish the negotiation. And we have finished one academic year. We have earned that book and research.
All right. And what you're telling me is the normal labor standard, right?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. Johnson Tiamwa is the Accra Polytechnic chapter, or the Accra Polytechnic POTAG chapter chairman. And thanks very much, and thanks for joining us. For me, I find it interesting. The point that no September they said they'll cease. Yeah. But because they haven't finished the conclusions in negotiating, they want to be paid from the time they receive the last one up to this time.
That's what the labor laws.
That's rule. That's rule.
Yeah, that's the rule. But importantly, what we don't
know. Then why is the government? Government is not doing well, is it?
What we don't know is the position of fair wages and what may seemingly be stalling the negotiations. Because the moment you don't come to conclusion and the time is due, you enter into another year. So in the negotiations, what are the issues there? Are you forced to keep postponing? By what circumstances?
Could the parties also be deliberately dragging this so that they can't enter?
We cannot,
because I can suspect
that's why we need the fair wages. But he said something, I think we should all go by that. Seemingly, what we're thinking that there was a tango as to the establishment of the research fund. But he says that because it has not been done, they should bear. We should make a commitment, and you ask the right question, that we have all agreed that the research fund should be done, so that there will be a cut off.
So why do you want to take the money then?
Because it has elapsed.
No, all
right. No, answer that one.
Okay, your last word, and then
if for anything, it is for me. It's rather the government and the fair wages that is rather create a problem for themselves. You know, if you the more you drag, you keep up.
Yeah, but we don't know fair wages. At times, negotiations have its own.
All right. You'll be following the talent elections. I hear it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Yes. And I know today there's no campaigning.
Yes.
As usual.
There can't be campaigning. If there is, then we'll report it widely. Abuse of incumbency.
No. Anybody at all.
Abuse of incumbency.
Everybody at all.
Or abuse of opposition. We'll see how that goes. And thanks for joining me, my guest, this morning. It's been interesting. I always love, and I've loved the analysis from both of you. I hope to have you again. Good pair. John Alexander Korn is the Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Thanks. Good communicator, political communicator, I say. James Apietuankra is a former Member of Parliament for Lower West Achim for the MPP. Thanks for joining me, sir. Very much instrumental in the actions of AFAG, Alliance for Accountable Governance. And thanks also for joining us this morning. I've been here with Mamavi Obusu Abwaje, Mrs. And we'll be here at the same time tomorrow. Please, as we go off though, always make sure you do the communication with us on our platforms and on the social network. We have Facebook, Join Us on TV, and also Join Us on TV handle on Twitter. You can also make sure you log on to our YouTube channel, and the channel's name is My Joy Online. Several videos uploaded there, and so this is what we do after here. We will upload the segments and the discussions there, and so when you go, you might see us discussing this. I guess from the next 2 hours, you can go there and watch those videos and make your comments. Bye-bye. Have a good morning. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll meet you same time tomorrow. Bye.